battle for ministerial nomination. Experts speak on effect of President Tinubu's 4 executive orders on Nigerians. President Tinubu seeks confirmation of service chiefs. Pastor arrested for allegedly defiling, impregnating minor in Emoha, Rivers State. Court grants suspended cop Abba Kyari bail. On the foreign scene, Twitter threatens legal action over Threads app. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Ifeemi Andrew. As the battle to make the final ministerial list of President Bola Tinubu intensifies, some politicians in Rivers State say they will not be surprised if former Governor Nyesom Wike makes the list. As you may know, Governor Nyesom Wike has been openly engaging and showing support for the APC with multiple visits to the president alongside members of the G5 group. Speaking on this, former spokesperson of the Rivers PDP Campaign Council, Ogbonna Nwuke, says former Governor Wike worked for the unity of the nation and such appointments from the federal government should not be done on political sentiments.
It's an error. I admit that people who still have are encouraged to do so. How will I be surprised? Governor Wike left a legacy in Rivers State, and everyone knows. And so it comes with experience, good works within our state and outside our state when it comes to management of men and resources, politically speaking. I also stand in a good state for him. So I shouldn't be surprised. In fact, Wike should make the list on account of his performance, on account of his exposure, on account of his experience.
Also, APC chieftain Omiete Efrebo said Mr. Wike deserves any federal appointment because he helped the state align with the ruling party at the national level. Mr. Efrebo, who says he is acting chairman of the APC in Rivers State, also spoke on the division in the party and said the court has settled the crisis.
At the state level, I don't think we have any issue. The political party recognizes the leadership from the schools. I don't think there's any issue as with the leadership in our party in Rivers. The only crisis I think we have is, I think if it is a crisis, and I think the court has put all things to rest, and that is the who is the chairman was suspended him, and the court have said that I should be acting, so there has not been vacated that order, so I'm still there.
Another APC chieftain in the state, Darlington Wildju, said if the former Rivers governor makes the list, Nigerians should ask him what has changed about the APC that he vowed not to associate with.
To use the word surprise is even an understatement. I think it will amount to another wonder, given the fact that this is someone that had in the past, in the very recent past, defined and described our party with all sorts of negative adjectives. And so we will be more than surprised if you ask. So I cannot validate whatever statements he has made.
Mr. Waldju, who says he is the state spokesperson for the APC, also spoke on the division in the party.
Inform Rivers people that indeed there is an APC structure in Rivers State. That yes, there is a leadership of the APC in Rivers State under the firm control of the former governor, the Right Honorable Chibikoro Amechi. And that anything that is outside of this structure of the APC and anything that is outside the foundation of our constitution as a political party is not avoid and cannot stand.
In the meantime, the special advisor to the president on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Alake, has urged Nigerians to disregard the ministerial list being banded on social media as they are fake. Mr. Alake gave the clarification on Thursday while responding to concerns as to delay in composing the ministerial list. He said the final decision on the list of nominees will be made public soon.
The president, the buck stops on his table, and he decides when it's fit and proper for him to make his cabinet list. No, we are not unaware of all the speculations and innuendos and rumors, all kinds of things in the media. But I, as a media man, I chuckle to myself that people want to sell So they just fabricate. I can tell you all of those things you've been reading in the media are mere fabrications. There is no element of truth in all of those things.
President Bola Tinubu has formally asked the House of Representatives to confirm the newly appointed service chiefs. The Speaker of the House, Abbas Tajuddin, opened Thursday's plenary by reading the President's letter seeking the confirmation of the appointment of heads of security agencies. In another development, a business management consultant, Cletus Ilugo, says Nigerians should not see the 4 executive orders signed into law by President Bola Tinubu to curb arbitrary taxation policy in the country as a form of palliative. Recall that yesterday, the President signed the Finance Act Order 2023, the Customs Excise Tariff Variation Amendment Order 2023, the 5% excise tax on telecommunication services, as well as the excise duties escalation on locally manufactured products. Others are the newly introduced green tax by way of excise tax on single-use plastics, including plastic containers and bottles, as well as suspension of import tax adjustment levy on certain vehicles. Mr. Elugo spoke to our correspondent on this.
We don't look at policy statements. We don't look at strategy as palliative measures. This is an order that is capable of reflecting to boost, project, to revive and resuscitate the economy. However, the effect that we are suffering is part of it, but it goes beyond that. Let us not see from that short-term view. Let's see from the long-term perspective, which is intended for. At that point, we will see the benefits of that measure. But if we look at it from the palliative, and it does not give us an immediate result, from the palliative mindset, we will castigate that policy. The policy is a long-term measure.
Mr. Elugo also spoke on the benefits of the executive orders.
The aim behind this is to ensure that investors and consumers have adequate disposable income to increase their consumption, invest in opportunity. When excise duties are reduced, the tendency to increase importation is high. That will also reflect the economy. When grain taxes are also reduced, the tendency to expand production of grain in the country is also enhanced to ensure that there is capital outlay for investors, thereby making the economy competitive.
On his part, a fiscal policy partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC, Taiwo Oyedele, says poor Nigerians will feel the impact of the 4 executive orders as they will have to pay more for some critical goods and services. Mr. Oyedele, in an interview with the prices of some goods and services, said the prices of some goods and services will not go down, but the executive orders will ensure the prices do not go up either. But a business analyst, Isaac Onwadiuno, questioned why the order suspending the 5% excise duty on telecommunication service would be a big deal. He told correspondent Constance Mega that the suspension is not new and has no direct impact on the suffering masses.
The only available service which every Tom, Dick and Harry in Nigeria can afford is a call to either a relation or a boss. This is the sector that is taxed by the federal government. Now, the outgone government has actually given a waiver for this tax. Why should we make it an issue of discussion? Now that Nigerians are in dire need palliative, what will 5% tax reduction on excise duty that the outgone government has actually waived, how will it put money in the pocket of Nigeria?
Moving on, some political party leaders, analysts and election monitoring groups have continued to react to the EU Election Observation Mission report on the 2023 general elections. Political analyst and lecturer national at the University of Port Harcourt, Obinna Nwodim, called on INEC to sanction erring staff and retrain them on the use of emerging technologies.
INEC should review the activities of its information communication technology and then the training of staff, particularly the ad hoc staff. Not too much time was given for the training of the ad hoc staff. One should think that enough time, 2-3 weeks training of the ad hoc staff, particularly those who are going to man those technologies, because you notice that during the elections, you found out that some of the ad hoc staff could not even upload the device machine, so low point in the elections.
On his part, the focal person of an election monitoring group known as YAGA, Africa, Obinna Egbogidi, advised INEC and the federal government to address issues raised in the EU report.
The European Union witnessed the election process in the country and their report should not be ignored. It is quite disheartening to see that the government and INEC have joined some desperate politicians and anti-democratic elements to disregard the recommendations from the European Union, who they invited to observe the elections. The reason the civil society community and frontline domestic election observer groups in the country like Yaga Africa have thrown their weight behind the report is because its findings are quite consistent with ours.
Also, the chairman of Action Democratic Party ADP in Rivers State, Christian Kendrick, said Nigerians should be concerned about what comes next following the submission of the EU report. Mr. Kendrick also advised INEC to work towards redeeming the image of the institution.
As a party, we're not excited about the report of EU concerning the election because this is not the first time we're having reports. The report is just a confirmation of what we've been screaming, what we've been complaining about. So it's nothing to celebrate about. After this report, what comes after? In 2019, similar report came out. What did it yield? Nothing. So it's nothing to celebrate about. The Rivers people need to think deeply. We are the only people who can stop this acts that we don't like. If JAM could detect a result, that wasn't good, how much more INEC?
The EU had earlier in its report faulted the 2023 elections, saying violence, killing and vote buying are some of the factors for its criticism, but the federal government has rejected the report. In the same vein, a group of Nigerians under the aegis of Coalition of Civil Society Organization and Political Parties for Good Governance stormed the European Union office in Abuja yesterday to protest against the EU report on the election. The protesters, who were seen with several placards carrying different inscriptions, marched through the central area to the European Union's headquarters in the AFCT. An EU official who addressed the protesters promised to relay the message to the EU. Still to come, court grants suspended cop Abba Kyari bail. Stay tuned. Suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari bail. Justice James Omotosho granted Mr. Kyari bail in a charge in which he and two of his siblings, Baba and Ali, were accused of failing to declare their assets to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The judge held that there was no evidence that he was a flight risk and that he will not attend his trial. A 55-year-old pastor identified as Pila has been arrested for allegedly defying and impregnating a 15-year-old girl in Indele community and Mohaleko government area of Rivers State. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, Grace Iringe Koko, confirmed the arrest by the operatives from the Rumoji Police Division following a complaint by Amesi Thangod, a relative to the minor. Mr. Thangod spoke on how the pastor pleaded that the pregnancy be terminated.
If your mother go farm at church and nothing person carry for mind, the day they go that place, go relax. Then evening time she will come back. So interval of these few days, the guy was committing before my wife took her to test. After texting her pregnant, and they get mentioned the man named Sila is Sila. So when they took her to the man's house, the man agreed, said whatever thing will happen is there. Then they should allow him that you will bring out his drugs for her to drink so that she will flood the stomach for her to be free. And flushing her now, the girl may die.
Well, National Coordinator, Human Rights Advocacy Group, Center for Basic Rights Protection and Accountability Campaign Bureau has urged the police to investigate the case without bias. In other news, fire destroyed goods and properties worth millions of naira in Egbeda Junction, Omok main town in Ogba Egbema Endon local government area in Rivers State. Some of the tenants of the residential building say they lost cash and other properties to the fire. OSPAC Vice Chairman Emeka Onyeocha said the fire was caused by illegally refined petroleum products stored in the building. He said no lives were lost.
No life was lost. Through our investigation, we found out that they do store this fuel of a thing in that area. And they see the reason why the government, the stakeholders, the security agents used to teach and say, don't deal with this fire because it can damage your property, can damage your life. We want to sympathize with the lost people. They should take heart. They do sensitize the people time without number, telling them the reason why these things are not supposed to be around humans.
An eyewitness said fire started at a nearby filling station. He said it took efforts from people around to contain the fire from spreading to other buildings. The landlord of the building close to Elekaya police station, allegedly rocked by a gas explosion, Godwin Amewule Chukwu, says eyewitness account of an explosion on his property are embarrassing and untrue. Mr. Amewule Chukwu, in an interview with our correspondent, said a generator under maintenance sparked but was immediately controlled. Mr. Amewule Chukwu also dismissed reports of 2 burn victims receiving treatment in a hospital.
There was no gas explosion. My house, my property is still standing. No fire, no explosion. Everybody knows what that explosion means. It's not ordinary kerosene. Gas is gas. Very, very powerful. Dangerous. They are working on a faulty generator. It has nothing to do with my property. As they said, 2 people were wounded. I didn't see anybody. That's false information. It's an embarrassment to me because I'm not dead. I'm not blind. I can see my property.
Some tenants of the building also spoke.
I'm a tenant. I am selling market here. There's nothing like gas explosion. There is this mechanic they called to repair their gen and he did the wrong thing. There was nothing like explosion.
If it's explosion, I think the next neighbor wouldn't have even been safe or wouldn't have even been there at that point in time. Nobody would have been there. There was no explosion. They were working on the generator, which was faulty. So the guy, I don't know how he had the issue of pulling the generator. No critical injury was sustained precisely.
It's a gen where they're working and they just spark. So later they off it. There is nothing like wound there. No gas. I don't know why they are saying nothing like that.
And now we'll bring you news from around the world.
Twitter is considering legal action against Meta over its fast-growing rival app Threads. Threads, which was launched on Wednesday, is similar to Twitter and has been pitched by Meta bosses as a friendly alternative. Twitter's boss, Elon Musk, has reacted, saying competition is fine, but cheating is not. But Meta denies claims in a legal letter that former Twitter staff helped create Threads. More than 30 million people have signed up for the new app.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this morning, you heard Rivers politicians have spoken on former Governor Wike's potential for ministerial nomination. Experts speak on the effect of President Tinubu's 4 executive orders on Nigerians. President Tinubu has written to the House of Representatives seeking confirmation of service chiefs. On the foreign scene, Twitter has threatened legal action over Threads app. The news was edited by Martha Okere in mostly cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this morning. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Ifeemi Andrew. Good morning.